Hi guys, this is your more girl coming back with you. I got this nice little cheese tray from the Goodwill the other day. It was half price for only $2.39. So what I'm going to do is take this apart, make sure it's clean. I'm going to redo this. I don't want any of the brown here, and I think I'm going to do my resin technique on this. The color I'm going to do though is going to be white. It's going to be a marble, but I want it to be like a blush, maybe a little rose gold, but maybe a blush marble technique on this. So I'm gonna just like wipe this down. I'm not gonna sand it because I'm gonna pour over it, but I'm just gonna do something that's different for this cheese tray because I want to go sort of the lighter colors this year for my living room and my bar cart. So I want to add more blushes and more, warm tones to it and bright colors since I painted the walls. So this is going to be a new project, guys, and I'm going to show you this when I get started. When I started to do this project, I noticed as I picked this up, you see that little line on the right-hand side? It is slit, so I didn't know because it was taped together that this platter is actually broken, the bottom of it. So when I lifted up, it did split apart, and I had to repair before I do any type of, resin art to it. So when it was apart, I just add glue. I didn't want to use like wood glue. I just use the same epoxy that I use for my resin art because, again, remember the cookie jar? It stays just as good as the glue. So after I did that, I just kind of went around and add the epoxy all over the whole entire tray. I wanted to make sure it was adhesed properly, that it won't fall apart. After I applied it, I just let it sit and dry. And you see here, I did the bottom, and then I also had to do the top because I wanted it to seal completely before I started. Now, after everything was dry, I got my paints together. I decided to do the rose gold. I didn't like the blush, and I did white and silver. And then what I did was my base was the white paint. I didn't go through the whole resin with you guys because you see me do pours over and over again. So I decided to go with the white base, then I added the silver, and then I incorporated the rose gold. And as I told you before, you can mix your different paints with this project here. So you see that I had the spray paint, the testers, and the acrylic, so it doesn't matter. So towards this part now, it's getting kind of like gooey. I kind of know now how I want my paint to sit. The longer you let your paint sit, it comes thicker and thicker because when you first start it, it's fluidy. Then as you can see, it gets really, really thick. So I wanted to wait till it got really thick so I can do it like slow pour over top of it. And that way I can control it much better on each layer from the white to the silver to the rose gold. And here is basically my technique that I use. And this is how the bottom came out. Then I started on the top. I didn't want it to be so much rose gold. I wanted it to the side. I wanted to show more whites and swirls and that silver and how it blends together. I think this thing came out really, really gorgeous. Like I really try to tip the edges over and try this resin on all kinds of projects, guys. Check this thing out. Hey, this is project number 2. I am doing a resin art with these beautiful purple, silver, and white colors. But when I got this tray from the Goodwill, I tried to clean it up as much as I could with the right silver cream and the bar keepers, and it just wouldn't come clean. So I had to use an alternative. If you constantly cleaning your silver and you notice it won't just come clean because it's too tarnished, just go to the Home Depot or Lowe's and get some Rust-Oleum spray paint. And look how this came out. I sprayed the whole entire tray. And then before, of course, I did my resin art to it. And this way also, if you do this method, remember, you don't use the right silver cream any longer because you have now altered the surface of it. I didn't do the back of the tray yet. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to keep it as original. I always like to keep an original, at least to the silver trays. But guys, this came out gorgeous. So the final project is project number 3, this 2-tier appetizer tray. I had a friend of mine ask me to redo her tray for her, and she liked the cobalt blue and the silver and white colors from a previous tray that I did. So what I did first was I had to paint her tray. The bottom of her tray was a terracotta, and you could see the middle, the brown part. So I didn't want to just leave it terracotta, so I figured, let me paint the whole thing blue. And then after that, I just coated it because I wanted to make sure the back of it was protected. So when she put it from table to table, the terracotta, the paint that's on the terracotta won't scrape off. So once the bottom was done, I went to the top. Actually, I spray painted the top first with that same chrome silver paint. And then that way you don't want your paint to go to the bottom and mess up the bottom of the plate. So I used my Poron that I use for the resin art just as a coating. Because remember, guys, these are epoxy. And when we do it, it's basically we putting paint with epoxy, as you see me do millions of times before. So when you coat it, it has that beautiful glaze. So I'm going to coat only around the edges because the middle part is going to be a resin art.